What is happening, guys? Welcome to The Juice, the serious gambling podcast for the not so serious gambler. Here we go, going into week 11. We're on the downhill slide of the regular season and looking forward to another big week. Had a good week of props. We're going to do the recap here in just a minute. I just take the beginning of the show to quickly remind you that this show is streamed live on the Player Profiler YouTube channel Friday nights, 10 p.m.-ish, tonight a little early. And it's also streamed on the Player Profiler podcast network. You find that super early Saturday mornings. We try to get it out at 12:01 a.m. Saturday, so you get the show super early. This is one of two shows that I'm doing here on the network at Player Profiler. The other show being my show, the Dynasty Warzone. Been doing that show for just over 5 years, almost 6 years, with my co-host Jerry Sinclair. And Dynasty season is right around the corner. We are a couple of months away from starting our rookie conversation. We'll do some look backs at this current class from 2023. We'll dive into the class of 2024. A lot going on. So when everything else in fantasy football and football content in general starts slowing down, the Dynasty business gets really, really good. So make sure you're subscribed everywhere. Player Profiler, Dynasty Warzone, YouTube channels, podcast channels. And if you do, you'll never miss really good shows like the Dynasty Roundtable. Speaking of Dynasty, the boys over the Dynasty Roundtable always keeping the Dynasty content fresh, and they drop every week as well, also on the Player Profiler YouTube channel and podcast channel. So there you go. There's the promotion. There's the rundown, if you will. Let's get a quick word from someone else from Player Profiler, the Podfather, and we'll start the recap.
Oh, I see it every day online, every single day. Hey, that looks like a great fantasy team in an 8-team league. Oh, wish I could be in a league with you, right? Well, guess what? Now you can respond with, sure, let's play on bettor. That's the beauty of this platform. This new bettor platform standardizes all position scoring. So you just load your team and you challenge your friend, your colleague, Twitter troll, and you can browse other teams and issue challenges. bettor is revolutionizing fantasy football. And with code UNDERWORLD, you get a $100 instant deposit match plus a free $10. So even if you deposit $20, you get $50. Think about that. So go to bettor.com. The code is UNDERWORLD. bettor.com. The code is UNDERWORLD. Or click a link in the description. It's fun to be right.
Yep, and the one thing about bettor that is very accurate is that it does not take much time to upload your teams into their app. It's pretty quick, and quick is good. I mean, not in everything, but quick, there you go. Quick recap, quick promotion, bettor, Dynasty Warzone, Dynasty Roundtable, boom, out of the way. Promo code is UNDERWORLD with our friends at bettor. First thing I always like to recap is Survivor. Now, my entry bit the dust when the Philadelphia Eagles could not manage to beat the New York Jets. I'm not bitter, but I am. But I've still been playing it similar to if I were still alive. The largest Survivor contest in the world is the one at Circa Las Vegas. It's the Circa Survivor. They started this thing with 9,000 plus entries. They're currently down to 609. The Bengals last week were the big one that really cost a lot of people. The Bengals last week losing at home to Houston cost them 422 survivors. So drops it down to 609 of the original 9,267. So the implied value, if you will, of Circa Survivor, if you have one of those live 609 tickets, is currently $15,216. So this is the whole point of why I would play Survivor, and next year I would really love to play in the Circa. The problem is you also have to hire a proxy because you have to do this through Las Vegas, from my understanding. So I would be very interested to do it, but like there's a secondary marketplace called Survivor Sweat. You can find it on Twitter at X at Survivor Sweat. And they're always talking about the marketplace where people are literally selling their live Circus Survivor tickets. They're talking about ones going for 18 grand, 13 grand, 25 grand. And you may ask, well, why would one go for 13,000 and one go for 25,000? Comes down to who you have left. If you have an entry and you've been hitting real well, like that's the way mine started. I had managed to use Seattle. I had used the Giants. I had used the Commanders. I was cruising right along. I was just starting to use the big name teams. Philadelphia was the one that cost me. And to be very transparent and honest, had Philadelphia not gotten me that week, Buffalo would have gotten me the next week. So I was just starting to use my big teams. And that's why one team, like if you've already burned up Baltimore and the Eagles and Kansas City and the Cowboys, if you've burned up a lot of really good teams, then it's going to be harder for that entry to survive. So that's where the marketplace fluctuation comes from. Last week was tough. I said last week on the show, like for me, the only lock last week on the board was Dallas. Dallas did win. They literally kicked the shit out of the New York Giants. And then I said my ballsy plays, and I felt pretty good about this one. I was proud when I was doing my recap this morning. The Colts at New England. If Mac Jones wasn't terrible, I'd probably get that one wrong. And then I said, I actually called on the show last week. I called my shot. I said the Bengals hosting Houston, hosting the Texans, was a ballsy play. And as we can see, that cost about 45% of the survivors from last week down to this week. So they're down to 609. We'll continue to spend a few minutes every week on Circa Survivor. I will give you a couple this week. This week's kind of loaded depending on what you have left. If you're doing a Survivor type pool, we do one at where I work, and we just pick every game, no spread. Most accurate wins the money. For me, week 11, I'm going to start calling the teams you got. Smoke them if you got them, because once you smoke them, they're gone. The Dolphins, if you have the Dolphins left, they're hosting the Raiders, almost a 2-touchdown favorite. Same with Dallas. If you didn't use Dallas, I'm really trying to avoid using Dallas this week. Out of all of the Thursday night games, maybe you have Detroit left, maybe, but I don't think you want to try to pick one on the Seattle, San Francisco side. So I'm trying to save Dallas, but if you have to burn Dallas, Carolina is a great matchup to do so. The Commandos, if you didn't use them earlier in the season like I did when they played Arizona, now against Tommy DeVito and the Giants would be a great place to use them. And then the ones that I'll say take a little bit more testicular fortitude, a little bit more balls, if you will. Steelers at the Browns. And I know you're thinking DTR, Thompson Robinson, he's going to be the quarterback. But these games, I mean, we've seen Tyler Huntley win division games. This is the AFC North. This is black and blue. So if you're going to take the Steelers, I understand. But remember, it's ballsy. The Lions host in Chicago. I heard a stat today. The Lions are like 11 games in a row covering the spread against the NFC North in the division. That's going back almost 3 full seasons, which you think the Lions got good last year, but they've been on this trend for a while. Justin Fields coming back, so I think but they are a 7-point dog, and with the Bears. So if you take the Lions, I still feel it takes some balls. Same thing with the Jags. This would be a game where we saw the Texans go into Jacksonville and beat the Jags. But if you're feeling desperate, maybe you've burnt up a lot of good picks. Maybe you don't have the Commanders, the Cowboys, the Dolphins. Maybe the Jags are who you're going to burn. And then the Broncos hosting the Vikings. I think the Broncos are getting hot at the right time. Their defense looks pretty good. And I'm not so sure about Josh Dobbs on the road. So those would be my ballsy plays: Steelers, Lions, Jags, Broncos. So that is our Survivor segment. We're going to move right along to the Pick'em Palooza. Now remember, this is not betting advice. This is betting information. This is a contest that I am currently doing over at pregame.com. Maybe you're doing one similar. You have to pick 5 games against the spread, And remember, these lines come out on Sunday night. Now, you can't get a lot down. They come out, I think, like 7 p.m. Eastern, and those are the openers. And between Sunday night and the time that I make these picks on Friday, every pro, wannabe sharp, and bookmaker in the world are sharpening these lines up so that they get tougher and tougher. I have to lock my contest picks in by Sunday. I do it on Friday so that I can share it with you guys. But like I said, I personally would never bet 5 sides and totals in a given week. I would cherry pick 2 or 3. I didn't do it this week, but I'll tell you what, I will start star ranking these or power ranking the 5 when I do next week's show. I have talked to my my buddies here at PlayerProfiler. Might do a Thanksgiving only edition of the Juice for you guys. Maybe a small one, but that way you have a little gambling content to listen to as you're heading over to grandma's or your in-laws or wherever you have to go. And that way you have a little something to think about as you prepare to make wagers on the Thanksgiving Day games. A recap last week real quick. The worst pick I made all day was the Saints. They lost Derek Carr, but it didn't really matter in my opinion. They were going to lose that game outright. Jameis made it interesting. Jameis does Jameis things. He throws 2 interceptions, but he throws 2 touchdowns. He was good for Chris Olave if you're a fantasy gamer. So it's fine. It was just a bad pick. The Bengals obviously, killed a lot of survivor entries, and they killed me. I was like, you're 5-3. You need this win, and to get beat at home, and no shade towards CJ Stroud, and I really am loving DeMeco Ryans as a head coach, but the Bengals, you can't lose this game. You have to win that game, knowing that on Thursday night you play the Ravens. Doesn't really matter. The Bengals season is basically over. They've lost Joe Burrow for the season. They're just like this team and the Jets. And the Jets were the one, like this is the entry that I feel like I should have won. This is the one that I feel like they blew it more than I blew it. But that's what you get when you back the Jets.
The goddamn Jets.
The goddamn Jets. Zach Wilson steps out of the bounds at the 2. Okay, no problem. That touchdown gets called back. No worries. Breece Hall up the gut, no problem. Touchdown. But wait. CJ Uzoma with a hold. Can't convert 3 points. That was a bummer. That was a big bummer. And the Lions got me my 1 push for the week last week. They got me the 3 points. Again, that's getting the best of the number. When that number dropped the Sunday before the game, that game opened at the Lions -1. When I hit submit on the contest, it was -3. I thought the Lions would cover it, and they looked well on their way. But not thrilled coming off of a 1-3-1 week. It pushes us back a little bit on the season. 5-0 in week 9, 1-3-1 in week 10. On the season, 22-24-4. How do you have 4 pushes? 4 pushes, 2 games below 500, but I'm ready to persevere. I mentioned earlier the Steelers. I will go ahead and share my picks so you guys can watch along on YouTube. The Steelers at home against the Browns. This is the spot. I think it's going to be low scoring. I think you're talking like 14-10, 13-10, 17-13. I think this is an ugly game. I think both of these defenses are good. Cleveland could be the best defense in the league, and they're definitely going to want to step up now that, Dorian Thompson-Robinson is the starter. No Deshaun Watson. And by the way, I am not a Deshaun Watson fan. How could you be after the story of Deshaun Watson? But Deshaun Watson played the second half of that game with a high ankle sprain and a broken bone in his shoulder. And he went 14 for 14 and led the Brownies to a comeback win. So just a little side note there. You despise the human, but you applaud the effort. But no more Deshaun Watson this year. So I'm going to take the Steelers. I think I'm getting a wacky number. I think this was a weird contest number, but when you want dubs, you chase dubs. I have the Steelers plus 1.5. You can see it right here on YouTube. That is a plus. That is a 1. That is a half. I am getting the Steelers plus 1.5 because it's a contest line, not a real line. The Chargers are on the road. Every time I trust the Chargers, they tend to get the they tend to get the best of me.
Bad judgment.
And maybe it is bad judgment going with the Chargers, but I just don't think the Green Bay Packers can really score the same way that the Lions did on the Chargers last week. So I'm going to lay the field goal. If this was 3.5, I would not be on this game. So I'll take the Chargers, lay in the 3.5. Next game, as long as the Rams are getting points against the Seahawks, I don't care where the game's playing. I had this one earlier in the season in week 1. I took the Rams. Think about the years where it's like John Walford and injured quarterbacks, and the Rams just beat the Seahawks. This one's at home. They're coming off of the bye. They should have Matt Stafford back, should have Cooper Kupp, pretty well healthy, and they could be getting Kyron Williams back off of the IR. I like the Rams in this spot. I like the Rams at home getting points. So I think the Rams win this one outright. I don't think it's going to be a tie. So I'm going to take the Rams plus the 1. And then I mentioned the Broncos. I really like the way that defense has been playing. Not that holding Buffalo to 22 points was some great shakes, because Buffalo's offense has been, to a degree, scuffling. And I know the Broncos gave up the 70. And I know Josh Dobbs has been great, but he's got to go on the road, Sunday night football, in the weather, on the grass, against the team playing really well. I've got some other action from this game later, but I am going to take the Broncos -2. And then Monday Night Football. I guess if I'm going to have to pick 5, I might as well pick 5 really good ones, because I'm going to take the Kansas City Chiefs laying 2.5. If this was 3.5, fine. I'm just going to be on the right side of history. I said this a couple of weeks ago when the Chiefs played the Dolphins, and I'll say it again now. When Patrick Mahomes is either an underdog or giving up less than 3 points, he's like a 75% winner. Then you get to add in the trend of Andy Reid coming off of the bye. I know Philadelphia had the bye too. I know that's a good team. The game's in Arrowhead. I think the Chiefs defense is going to be the difference maker. So again, Patrick Mahomes, I'm going to follow the trend. Patrick Mahomes laying less than a field goal. I'm going to lay the 2.5 with the Chiefs. So to recap my contest picks real quick, got the Steelers in a contest line. With the Steelers now, you're laying 2, but I got them at plus 1.5. I have the Chargers -3 at Green Bay. I have the Rams at home playing the Seahawks. I'm taking the Rams plus the 1. I'm going to lay the 2 with the home Broncos. I like the way that team's trending. And then finally, the Chiefs at home, giving up less than a field goal, giving up 2.5 to the Philadelphia Eagles. Little Super Bowl rematch, Monday Night Football. For those of us on the East Coast, we will all be tired on Tuesday morning. All right, I am going to jump into my player props. I'm going to continue to do the player props a little bit differently, but I'm going to bring you guys some more player props. And if you want to play player props, try it with our friends at Underdog.
It has been 2 years since Josh Larkey paved the way for fantasy gamers to start expecting positive returns from pick'em games, specifically Underdog pick'ems. And how do you do it? Well, you look at a slate and you find a great shootout or a sneaky shootout. You also look for a shit show game. 3, 4, 5, 6 guys in one game. That's right. You can do it. You can do it. And you can 100x your payout on Underdog. Think about week 1. Jets-Bills was a shit show. Did we see the Aaron Rodgers injury coming? No, but we knew the Jets have a good defense. We knew the Bills have a good defense. Why not expect the worst? And the worst is what we got. So if you had gone Dalvin Cook less than, Garrett Wilson less than, Aaron Rodgers less than, Josh Allen less than, Gabriel Davis less than, boom, 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 you can go 6 for 6. Same thing in week 2. Week 2. Sneaky shootout there in Philadelphia. Minnesota's going to be in comeback mode, so we'll go Cousins, Jefferson, Hawkinson, more than. Madison, less than. But also, Swift, more than. Boom, 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 boom. That's how you do it with the Underdog Pick'ems, and you use promo code Underworld to get a 100% instant deposit match up to $100. You put in $100, Underdog matches that deposit up to $100 with promo code Underworld. Go start picking.
Yeah, and basically what Underdog has you doing is that, you're picking little mini parlays, and that's totally cool. The one thing you want to look for is those that are correlated, and more importantly, those that are sneaky correlated. One that I heard on a different podcast yesterday was Joe Burrow against the Ravens had a real low yards per attempt, but he had a 260 yard passing prop. Well, to do that, he would have had to have passed the ball like 37 times, and his passing attempts prop was like 33. So the over was, kind of there. So if you look for that correlation and if you look for little trends and follow the right people like this show, we'll keep you going on the pick'ems. Again, shout out to our friends at Underdog. So last week on the pick'ems, I did something new, and I'm going to do something similar this week. Last week, I picked a prop that I liked in every window, and then I gave you a second one that I liked. So I had an official pick. So like last weekend, we had the last of the international games. We had the 9A, the 1 p.m., 4 p.m., 8 p.m. Sunday night, and then Monday Night Football. Gave you 5 official props, and I gave you 5 props that I liked. Finished 3-2 on both. 9 a.m., I had JT over his receptions number, had 1 catch, and that was really frustrating. It was there, but they didn't use it. And then I had Hunter Henry over his yardage prop. He got within like 9 yards, so it wasn't a complete and utter miss. It's just he got Mac Jones. We had a Mac Jones problem. So I started off 0-2 there. Then I had Will Levis. He missed that prop by, I think it was 15.5 yards. It just, again, rookie on the road. But the prop I liked at 1 o'clock last week was George Kittle over 39.5 yards. I think he almost 2.5 times that. He had a big game against the Jags. So that was a hit. In the 4 o'clock window, I had Trey McBride over 3.5 receptions. He almost hit that on the first drive. He had 3 catches on the very first drive. So that ended up being a hit for me as well. The prop that I liked in the 4 o'clock hour was JSN, Jackson Smith, and Jigba over 3.5 receptions as well. He hit that, no problem. Sunday night, official bet on the game was Breece Hall over 2.5 receptions. And this one was a nail biter, but he got it home, and that was a hit. And then the one that I liked in the Sunday night game was Aiden O'Connell under 206 passing yards. That was a hit as well. Then Monday Night Football, I had Javonte Williams as my official over 17.5 receiving yards. He did that on the very first catch he had of the night. He tacked on a couple of others. That was an easy one. And then Dalton Kincaid was the one that I liked. I mentioned I liked over 5.5 receptions. He finished with 5. So on official plays last week, I was 3-2. On non-official plays last week, I was 3-2. That brings my season-to-date record to 17-15, 2 bets above 500. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you 5 more that I like, and I'm going to give you 5 more that are just okay. These are not official. So I'll have 5 official plays. We'll call them 5 leans. So here's 5 likes. I'm going to bet these. Here's 5 that I'm leaning toward, and I'm going to give you 4 in the 1 o'clock set of game, that window. I'll give you a couple for the 4 p.m. I'll give you a couple for Sunday Night Football, and I'll give you something for Monday Night Football to kind of get you through so you can enjoy these games, and you can take them how you will. I will share my screen right here real quick. And my first one might be my favorite one of the week. This is Jerome Ford over 49.5 rushing yards. when you see a number you don't understand, you either stay away from it or take advantage of it. And I don't understand this number. Jerome Ford played these Pittsburgh Steelers once before. And this was the Nick Chubb game, the game that Nick Chubb blew out his knee. Nick Chubb had 60 some odd yards rushing in that game, and Jerome Ford had 106. And now his prop is only 49.5. And I get the DTR corollary, but Jerome Ford had 16 rushes in this game last time. And if he gets 16 rushes, he has to average what? 3.2 yards a rush? Very doable, because Pittsburgh is sneaky not very good against the rush this year. Pittsburgh has allowed 100 yards rushing in every game but one this year, and they're the 6th worst defense in the league against the run. Don't know about Minkah Fitzpatrick. I think you're going to see a healthy dose of Jerome Ford. If you're looking for a little bit of your own, if you're doing your own legwork as you're betting these, they didn't have one posted on BetMGM Grand earlier when I was doing my work, but I was looking for a rush attempts number. I think I would be very comfortable with everything going over anything 15.5. Once you get to that 15.5, I think it gets a little bit dicey. But I love this one. This is one of my 2 official 1 o'clock bets. I'm going Jerome Ford over 49.5 rush yards, lay $1.20. And then my second official 1 o'clock bet is Jahmyr Gibbs over 24.5 receiving yards. Now here's a fun one. I mentioned the Jerome Ford. If you want to, look at his rush attempts prop if and when it posts. Here's another fun one. Now, I didn't post it. Chicago has given up the 5th fewest running back rush yards of the season. Their defense has played incredibly well, especially since week 5 going forward. But on the season, they've still given up the 3rd most running back catches, and the Bears have given up the most running back receiving yards. I like the way that the Lions have been integrating Jahmyr Gibbs into the passing game. If you wanted to get cute and do a little same game parlay here, you could go David Montgomery under his rushing prop and Jahmyr Gibbs over his receiving prop. That's sneaky correlated based on what we know about the Bears defense. But that is my second official 1 o'clock pick. And then a couple of likes. I got a couple of likes for you. I've got Luke Musgrave here. Whoops, I shot right by my mark here. Luke Musgrave over 28.5 receiving yards. This is my like of the 1 o'clock window. My lean. I got to use that word, lean. Pretty simple. The Chargers have given up the 4th most passing yards to the tight end this season, and they're giving up an average of 6.5 receptions to the tight end position. I think Musgrave is going to be involved, and I think this is a good prop. His receptions prop was 2.5. I like that as well. And then another like, and this is just more of a narrative base. I don't have as much data outside of the fact that Carolina has given up 13 rushing touchdowns this year. 13. That's a lot of rushing touchdowns by any team to have given up already this year. I like Tony, this is the first time I've ever even mentioned anytime touchdown, but I like Tony Pollard anytime touchdown. I think after all of the aerial fireworks last week and not getting in the end zone, I think the Cowboys will be making a collective effort to get him in the end zone. I also liked Rico Dwaddle. His rushing yardage prop was 27.5, but my 2 official plays for the 1 o'clock window are going to be Jerome Ford over 49.5 rush yards, Jahmyr Gibbs over 24.5 receiving yards. So there you go. That gets you through the 1 o'clock window. Let's go to 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock, maybe my other favorite bet of the week. This is my official bet for the 4 o'clock window. I'm going Deebo Samuel under 4.5 catches, and you have to lay $1.45. Now this is a DraftKings. I hear at PlayerProfiler we have no bet, no affiliation with DraftKings. This is just the number. When I looked at this up earlier on BetMGM Grand, it was 3.5, and that's like where I wouldn't have been comfortable with this. I love 4.5. This is a DraftKings number. If you're in a DraftKings state, go get this, see what Underdog has. Bet MGM Grand, they could have moved theirs. I'll lay the juice. I love the under 4.5. First of all, in every game he's played, he's not hit this since week 3. He's not even have 5 targets in a game. He would need 5 for me to lose this. He's not even had 5 targets since week 3. Tampa Bay has given up a lot of yards, so I would not be surprised. I wouldn't touch his yardage prop, but they've only given up the 10th most receptions. I think we've seen Deebo is like more of like the gadget guy. They're going to mix him in stuff. He'll probably get 2 or 3 catches, 4 or 5 rushes. He'll be involved in this game, but for me, I'm going Deebo under 4.5 receptions. I'm laying $1.45 juice, and I'm doing it at DraftKings this time. Speaking of DraftKings, I'm going to stay at DraftKings, and I'm going to go back to my guy, Breece Hall. This is my lean. I'm going to lean just a little bit toward this one right here, but I'm going to lean Breece Hall over 3.5 receptions. I was hoping we were still going to get that 2.5 reception number that Breece has won for us a couple of times this year, but they've gotten hip to what we're doing. It's now up to 3.5. I still like it. I'm still going to lean to it. The Jets released Michael Carter, and the first time the Jets played the Bills, the running backs did have 6 catches. And one of the guys who had a couple of those catches, he's now in Arizona in Michael Carter. So I think the Jets realized they screwed up on Sunday not getting Breece Hall more involved in the passing game. And I think they remedy that this week. So that's my lean in the 4 o'clock hour, going under Deebo, under 4.5 receptions, and over Breece Hall, 3.5 receptions. That's my like and my lean. Let's go to Sunday Night Football, a little Sunday nighter. So this way you can just keep going. You got a little something to take for every game window. This is my official play. Javonte Williams, over 2.5 receptions. Maybe Javonte is the new Breece Hall. I love this number. This is a great number. Again, this is a DraftKings number, and it's heavy on the juice. If it was 3.5, wouldn't be on the card, or at least it wouldn't be my official Sunday night bet. I'm happy to lay the juice. I'm going to bet enough to get 1 full unit in return. So I'm going to be betting approximately 1.75 units to win 1. Totally on board with that. That's where I want to be. Javonte Williams over 2.5 receptions. Also on Sunday night, going back to the Broncos side of the ball. Can't really see this on YouTube. I apologize, but it's Courtland Sutton over 4.5 receptions, and you get plus 105. So you get just a little bit back. You bet $10, you get $10.50 back. Just like the way that I've seen the offense come together in Denver. This was coming off the second game where Courtland Sutton had 8+ targets. And he was the one who posted, if you didn't see it online, look for Courtland Sutton, Russell Wilson apology form. He wrote the Russell Wilson apology form. Stephen A. Smith commented on it, but I think there's a vibe there. Did some weird extrapolation, just kind of extrapolated out where Courtland Sutton would be if he stays on the pace that he is right now. He's on pace to finish with 77 catches. It's pretty good. That's anything around 80 is a pretty nice season for a wide receiver. He's on pace for 13 touchdowns, but he's only on pace for like 818 yards. It's wild, but that's all right. This is a receptions prop. I think Russ is going to continue to feed him. So I'm going to go over as my like on this game. So again, same thing. I'm going official bet Javonte Williams over 2.5 receptions, and I'm going as my lean, Courtland Sutton over 4.5 receptions there. Monday Night Football. Monday night. Super Bowl rematch. I am going Isaiah Pacheco under 49.5 receiving yards. This one right here is pretty simple for me. Exactly 3 running backs all season have exceeded 50 yards rushing against the Chiefs. And it's been guys like Tony Pollard, Kyron Williams, and Brian Robinson. Once. Brian Robinson did it once. He didn't do it twice when they played 2 times. He did it once. And the most rushing yards this Eagles team has given up all year is 59. This is 49.5. I think this becomes more of a shootout. I was looking at some Rashee Rice props because the Eagles have been generous to the wide receivers, but they have been absolutely stingy against the running back. So I am going under 49.5 rush yards for Isaiah Pacheco. And my lean in this game is going to be DeAndre Swift over 2.5 receptions. He's had about 2 in every game. I think he had one game with 1, but I just think that's how this game's going to be played. And I think it's going to be a lot more about the passing game and a lot less about the running game. I think both teams will abandon the run. The running backs they do include, they'll involve them more in the passing game. If this number was 3.5, I would either be on the under or over, or would just leave it alone. But I'm going to go, my lean in this game is DeAndre Swift over 2.5 receptions. So there you go. I'll give you my official bets. You can go back and re-listen. There's a rewind function on your podcast device for a reason. So I'm going over Jerome Ford, 49.5 rush yards, over Jahmyr Gibbs, 24.5 receiving yards. I'm going under Deebo Samuel, 4.5 receptions. I'm going over, drawing a blank. I'll have to edit this out of the podcast. I'm going Breece Hall is my lean in that game, and I will go back and use my Sunday night. I like Javonte Williams over 2.5 receptions, and then my lean in that game. I had Sunday night on the mind from last Sunday when the Jets were on there. The Jets always get me.
The goddamn Jets.
And then finally, Monday Night Football official bet, Isaiah Pacheco under 49.5 rush yards. There you go, guys. Sorry about the little flub up there in the middle. Podcast listeners will be wondering what the hell I'm talking about. But there you go. 5 props, 5 leans, gives you 10 things to think about. Think about that correlation. You know, what are the books not seeing? What do you know as an experienced football fan, Dynasty gamer, bettor? What do you know? Is it a yards per carry? Is it a yards per attempt? Is it air yards? Is there something that you can take advantage of to go out there and do it? I'll tell you, there's a great set of resources you can use at Pro Football Reference. I use a lot of that. DVOA, yards per attempt, all that stuff. Use those tools, find that correlation, then make your player props. But there you go. There's a show. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll be back here maybe on Wednesday, definitely on Friday next week. Since I may not see you again unless you listen to the Dynasty Warzone, hope you have a safe holiday. Go eat some turkey, travel safe, enjoy the time with the family. Hopefully you don't have to work. Even retail's off on Thanksgiving. So enjoy the football. Great games. All right, 2 good games, and then what should be a really good game. You got Seattle and San Francisco as the nightcap. You've got the Cowboys and the Commanders. Should be some fireworks there. And then Packers, Lions, we'll see. And then don't forget the first ever Black Friday game. So the NFL is doing us a solid, giving us plenty of football. You guys enjoy the weekend, and I'll see you guys next week. Thanks for tuning in. See you guys.